Welcome to Bruce's Kitchen.
This is our spicy tomato sauce that we use as a base, and we can use this base tomato sauce to make a lot of different dishes. But one of my favorites is this as a sauce to kind of as a garnish for shrimp. We start out with our prep for our garlic, shallots, and fresh tomatoes. So first you have to peel the garlic, and you peel the shallots, you chop your garlic, chop your shallots, and peel your tomatoes. When you're going to chop garlic, once you get it peeled, and you can hit it with the side of the knife just like you're going to see me do here, that'll loosen the peel, pull the peel off, then hit it fairly hard with the side of the knife, and that begins the mash. When you get that all your cloves of garlic, you start the mash like that, put some salt on it, and that salt will hold it together so that it doesn't bounce all over the cutting board as you cut it. And that salt that you put on there like that, by the time you add that in with the shallots, it's not gonna affect the garlic. The garlic will brown just the way you want it to. And you can see that garlic didn't bounce all over the kitchen floor. It stayed right there in a heap while I was chopping it up. Anybody that doesn't know how to peel a tomato, it's really simple. Get a pot of water to boil. Just set a pot of plain tap water to boil on the stove. When it comes to a rolling boil, drop your tomatoes in there, and if you let them get to room temperature, obviously before you drop them in, they're not gonna cool the water off so fast. And in a matter of moments, the peels start to crack, and as soon as you see the peels crack, you pull them out, and there it is. And see how easy it is to peel the skin right off. Now they do keep a lot of the puree part onto that skin, and if you get a good piece of skin like that, you can take it off with a little knife if you want, but there's plenty of tomato left there. And the hot chili peppers, I am just a bug about taking the seeds out. I do it myself. I do it by hand. I recommend you wear rubber gloves or you're going to be hating life when you're done. And I just like that. And the little membrane in there that the seeds get attached to, if you can, you want to salvage that. That's where the capsicum or capsicum, which is the spiciest, hottest part of the pepper, is. And that's what gives it the heat. So if you just pull all that center membrane out, you're taking away some of the heat. And I want the heat to be the natural heat from the peppers, and that's why I do it. So for this dish, we're saute our shallots and garlic together first. And we start out, we get the pan hot, we put olive oil in it, and then we put our shallots in there first. The shallots we want to brown. We don't want them to get black, but we want them to get brown. We want them actually sauteed. And when they're about 2/3, 3/4 brown, like you see in this picture, that's when we add our garlic. And we don't put any salt. We don't put any pepper. If you put salt, that draws the water out. And you do that when you want to sweat the vegetable. In this case, we want the flavor that's going to develop out of that vegetable by being sauteed. And it does add a very distinct flavor. You go to all these fancy restaurants and you hear about roasted garlic. That's going to be roasted garlic. And you're going to notice the flavor when you do this. And now you'll see how that's all get nice and brown and sauteed. And we'll mix that up, and then we put in our hot chili peppers. And I add my peppers in there, and they're just going to get a little shake. There's a reason I leave the peppers whole, or in this case, just halved, as opposed to chopped up or run through the food processor. Certain dishes where I was going to measure the amount of pepper, I would just chop them up and they'd be gone. In this case, because I'm going to use this as a base sauce, I'm going to try to moderate my level of hotness. So somewhere along the line as I cook this, if it becomes unbearable, I can fish those peppers out. Now we take our peeled tomatoes and we put them in the food processor, and we work the food processor on pulse. We don't want to turn it on and forget about it. And I didn't grind this up to make tomato juice out of it. It's more or less what I would consider a coarse grind. If you send it through a grinder, if you have one that fits on the front of your mixer, or you just mash it up with a fork, and that's what you can do with any pieces that got past the food processor. Just mash them up with a fork. They're not going to hurt anything. Then you'll have a really nice consistent sauce. You use fresh tomatoes. You either put them in your garlic and shallot mix if you're trying to make a fresh tomato for pasta. Quick shake in a saute pan, 5 or 10 minutes, and you serve it right away, or it's got to cook for a couple of hours. Once you finish that initial saute, I believe that that's when the tomatoes have a bitter taste, and that bitter taste usually takes an hour or so to get cooked out of there, and then you start to get the sweet, real flavor of the tomato. If you cook tomatoes enough, you can actually make jelly out of it, and it just keeps on. The more it cooks down, the sweeter it gets. We had, I think, 4 different kinds of basil in this, and 4 or 5 different kinds of hot peppers, and just a medley. There's no real secret to what kind. It's just as hot as you want it to be. The bay leaf is bay leaf. I just like fresh bay leaf. And when I pick the basil spices like that, I think you can put the flower in there. I think you can put the leaves in there. If I put the stems in there, I just pluck them out and throw them away. There's our little chiffonade of fresh medley of basils. And we put some fresh cracked pepper in. Fresh cracked black pepper adds a different kind of a flavor. It's a more hearty, robust flavor than just hot pepper or a white pepper. And in a dish like this that's colored, it's not cream based, it's colored red and has a lot of different color in it, the pepper is fine in there. And when I roast a chicken, I save all that broth and juice and whatever. If I usually roast it with olive oil on it, I save that. You can cut little squares of that, and that's what I add in there for flavor. That's the best flavor, better than this canned chicken stock or any of that. And or if you want to make chicken stock, you can freeze it. Just use blocks, cubes. Whenever you need some liquid to put into a particular sauce, just put that right in there, and it melts. It becomes gelatin. It's really easy to cut, and you just put it in there with your dish, and it melts. You all know what gelatin is, and I mean, it's the same thing. That's how they get it. It comes from the cartilage in the bone of the meat. Chicken, beef, whatever it is, that's what makes it gelatinized. I think we let this simmer probably an hour and a half. It's slow cook. We added the gelatin, we added some white wine to it, I think, too. As it reduces itself, the water cooks out of the vegetable product. As the tomato reduces itself, a good way to add liquid back is to add some white wine to it. Just plain old white wine, doesn't have to be anything special. Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Chenin Blanc, whatever you have. Champagne's not the right thing to put in here, but you can even use champagne if it's flat. This sauce, it's really spicy, it's really flavorful, it's really hearty. This could be mixed with wine, it can be mixed with chicken stock, it can be mixed with water. It can be cut with cream. You can use this as a base to add spice and some heartiness to cream. So you go in and you see in a menu in a restaurant with tomato cream sauce. It's no big deal. The chef has a couple of gallons of this in the walk-in box, and take a scoop of that, throw it in the pan, some cream. Then you can add mascarpone, you can add goat cheese, you can add whatever you want to it. You can use this as a base to make any kind of tomato base or cream tomato base dish that you see in any restaurant in the world. And it's going to be perfect.